Welcome to the Wellness Lab Digest, where we help you to absorb powerful, life-changing insights from top wellness experts with our daily bite-sized wellness podcast summaries. Each episode is packed with distilled, powerful takeaways to boost your health and well-being. To support this podcast, please scroll down on whatever app you're listening. Ratings and reviews are helpful. Even better, just send the show to a friend. Check out our sponsors at the bottom of the page, or simply click the Support the Show link below the episode description.
Red light therapy sounds like science fiction. Astronauts accidentally discovering healing powers while growing space plans. But today, this NASA experiment has evolved into a multi-billion-dollar wellness phenomenon that's taking over TikTok and medical offices alike.
You know what fascinates me about this NASA connection? They weren't even trying to develop a medical treatment. They were just trying to grow lettuce in space when they noticed astronauts' wounds healing faster under these lights.
That's exactly right. And what's even more interesting is that when they studied it further with Navy SEALs, they found injuries healed 50% faster compared to control groups. But let's break down what's actually happening with this technology.
Well, before we dive into the science, could you explain the difference between red light and infrared? Because I think there's a lot of confusion about that.
So here's what makes them distinct. Red light has shorter wavelengths between 630 and 700 nanometers, while infrared light ranges from 700 nanometers to 1 millimeter. The key difference is that infrared penetrates much deeper into our tissues.
That explains why they use different types for different treatments, like those LED face masks everyone's posting about versus the infrared saunas at wellness centers.
Exactly. And speaking of those treatments, let's talk about what's happening at the cellular level. These light wavelengths actually target our mitochondria. You know, those cellular powerhouses we learned about in biology class.
Oh, right, the ones that produce ATP for energy. But what's fascinating is that we have over 100 trillion mitochondria in our bodies. That's an enormous potential for cellular enhancement.
And that's where the real magic happens. When these mitochondria get exposed to red light, they start producing more ATP, which basically supercharges our cells' ability to repair and regenerate.
That's incredible. But you know what I find most surprising? The range of potential benefits they're discovering. We're not just talking about skincare anymore.
You're absolutely right. The research shows potential benefits for everything from wound healing to heart health, pain management, and even mental health. For instance, studies suggest it can help reduce cortisol levels, our stress hormone, while boosting serotonin and dopamine.
Though we should probably mention that while the research is promising, more clinical studies are still needed to fully confirm some of these effects, right?
That's an important point. The science is still evolving, but what we do know is pretty fascinating. For example, one cardiologist, Dr. Khan, has been advocating for this therapy since the early 2000s, particularly for vascular patients.
So what exactly happens in these treatment sessions? I mean, what's it like to actually experience red light therapy?
Well, I can tell you firsthand. I tried one of those 25-minute sessions where they wrap you in medical-grade red and near-infrared light panels. It's surprisingly relaxing, warm, but not hot, and there's this interesting meditative quality to it.
That sounds much less intimidating than I imagined. But what about the different options available? I've seen everything from those scary-looking face masks to full-body treatment beds.
The range is pretty incredible. You've got professional treatments at medical offices and wellness centers, at-home devices like LED masks and wands, and even infrared saunas with built-in exercise equipment. But here's where consumers need to be careful. Many products on the market don't meet FDA standards.
That's concerning. What should people look out for if they're interested in trying this?
The most important thing is to look for FDA-approved devices if you're buying something for home use. And there are some specific precautions to consider, like wearing eye protection and being aware of potential photosensitivity, especially if you're on certain medications.
And what about the frequency of treatments? How often do you need to do this to see results?
Most experts recommend starting with 2 to 3 sessions per week, each lasting about 10 to 20 minutes. But here's what's interesting. While these treatments can be expensive, there are natural alternatives. The same wavelengths occur naturally in sunlight, especially during sunrise and sunset.
That brings us back to the modern lifestyle problem you mentioned earlier, how we're all basically light-starved from spending so much time indoors.
Exactly, and that's what makes this whole field so fascinating. We're essentially using advanced technology to recreate something our bodies evolved to need naturally. It's like we're coming full circle, just with a high-tech twist.
Looking ahead, where do you see this technology going? What developments should we be watching for?
Well, researchers are exploring some pretty exciting applications. They're looking at potential treatments for neurodegenerative conditions, mental health disorders, and even athletic performance enhancement. But what's really interesting is how this might change our approach to preventive healthcare.
That's such an important point. The idea that light therapy could be part of our regular wellness routine, not just a treatment for specific conditions.
And that's really the key takeaway here. Whether someone chooses to try red light therapy or simply makes an effort to get more natural light exposure, understanding our relationship with light is crucial for our health. It's amazing how something as fundamental as light can have such profound effects on our bodies.
Well, you could say this conversation has been illuminating.
Oh no, I knew we couldn't get through this whole discussion without at least one light pun. But seriously, it's exciting to think about where this technology might lead us in the future. From space lettuce to potentially revolutionary health treatments, that's quite a journey.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Lab Digest. If you have received value from the podcast, I have 3 asks of you. 1, share the show with your friends and send them a link to the show. 2, please leave a rating and review in whatever app you're listening. And last but not least, please let me know what topics you would like us to cover in the future. You can contact me by sending me a message using the Send Us a Text link below the episode description.